found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, how you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sun's out.
Ready to roll.
Sun's out, man. It's a good day. We've had
Pastor Alex is rocking his amazing mustache. It is a great day.
Oh my gosh. When the challenge was laid, because I don't know if you guys know, but a few weeks before we had the praise and worship night, the back row, the rhythm section, and we were like, it'd be funny if we all came in without our beards on, because they all have beards and mustaches, and they're like, we shaved them off and wore Hawaiian shirts.
Summertime facial there.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm in. You just say the word. And so I thought we made a pact. I thought we all made a pact.
I did not, but I was like, well, if somebody's going to do it, it's going to be Pastor Alex.
I did. And so I did.
You're the victim of step one forward and everybody steps back and leaves.
Pretty much. And so I come in, praise and worship night. 3 of the guys did it. The other one did not.
Okay.
So I'm like, at least there's 3 of us that
right.
did it. But I was the only one that had read the text that said, are we wearing Hawaiian shirts? I didn't read the rest of it after that because I'm like, sure, let's do it. I'm in. So I wore my Hawaiian shirt.
How many Hawaiian shirts do you own?
Well, I have one official, which is Amy got from Hawaii, which is the one I wore. And I have other ones that are like Temu knockoffs.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know.
I got you that Burl Ives one. You got a Hawaiian shirt.
I do for Christmas.
It's more like a bowling shirt, I guess, than it is.
That comes out for Christmas.
It's a Christmas Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. But
it's a great looking mustache, buddy.
The comments I've gotten, my wife does not like, is that I have been called Magnum PI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll take that one. And then people are like, you look younger. And then Sunday I was talking to somebody, and they were looking at me like super weird, like it was across the room. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And they're looking at me like, hey, who are you?
Who's this Ned Flanders looking?
Apparently they weren't wearing their glasses. As Ned Flanders shows up in the church. Yeah.
So Amy's not a fan?
No. I went into the bathroom and closed the door, and the shaver comes on. She thought I was just trimming up everything. And then I walk out, and I just remember her face like, dear God, what did you do? And she was not a fan. I don't know if she's a fan yet.
Come on, Amy, get on board.
She's. I'm hoping she gets there.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it.
It looks good, man.
Yeah, thanks. Kind of like it. But she says, you look too much like your dad. I'm like, well, how am I not going to look like my dad?
Hey,
yeah.
I'm related to him. I don't know if you know this.
There's a big conspiracy theory going around that I might be his kid. I'm not sure. Yeah. So how's your guys' week going? I mean, it's been a pretty good week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not too much going on. That's
not
too
a ton.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a really good weekend. It was a super busy weekend around church with all kinds of activities, but I'm still getting my head around. I feel like I'm trying to get my feet underneath me. I'm like, all right, what's next? What are we hunting down this week? So
we had a lot. We had praise and worship night. Mm-hmm. There was a funeral of a dear saint in our church.
Yep, really good celebration of life in the morning.
Yeah. What else?
Great day preaching on Sunday there. You killed it. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. We had a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know if you guys noticed our banner out in the lobby.
Oh yeah.
You look good in it, right?
I no longer look like a 15-year-old anime character, so that's a win for me.
Does that banner exist with that, or is it just?
I don't know, but
it was just a picture.
See, I was picking on you guys about it because I know that picture. That he used. I was 23.
Yeah. Let's be honest though. Every picture that you're in, you look young.
I look young, just not that young.
Yeah. And
the picture you used for me was like you went back in my social media.
I did a lot of looking around.
Yeah, it's a younger picture.
PG and I mean, we have some stuff online.
Distinguished guys.
Yeah, I mean,
distinguished gentlemen.
We never change.
We're always the same.
Timeless.
I won't say it, but you get to a certain age, and it kind of
it just kind of plateaus out. It doesn't really change much.
And if the internet started at that time,
I know it would never change. Yeah, it's just like I don't know.
Here's the photo that I use for everything from now on.
It's a scary thing to be a teenager and grow up in the wild west of the internet, right?
Nobody, every time somebody walks by my picture that's hanging out in the hallway of graduates here, they really they have a hard time seeing the connection between.
I did too. The first time I saw you with like long blonde hair, I was like, "That's Carson Norton." But then I was like, "No way, that's Alex."
That's me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Carson
looks a lot like me.
Right.
give Carson 30 years and say,
Well,
don't shave it to a mustache.
don't
Look
do
just
it.
like your dad.
Don't do it.
So do this with your children or grandchildren. Show them a picture of you when you were young.
Right.
They think you came out of the womb looking like you do right now. They just don't believe that you were young at one point.
There's no way. There's no way you could look like that. Yeah, I know. I just, it's funny because I've not had hair for years, over 20 years. And looking at those pictures now,
Right.
it seems like another person. There's no way. It just, there's no
What
way.
is the term that kids use these days? Chop dunk. You heard that? Looking
know
like
about
a chop dunk.
A chopped hunk. Yeah, you're chopped.
Right. Like
Right,
it's
yeah.
like you're old and uncool.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe?
no, an unk isn't uncool. An unk is
is-
like, unk is saying like, because I'm in unk territory right now. It's like you're around
you're
that
getting
like 30, 35. You're not who you used to be, but you're unk.
You're still hanging out with
Yeah.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing Theo in college football yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna
You're
prove
chopped
to you I'm
unk.
not a chopped unk. And he's like, please never say
Yeah,
those
just
words.
saying that makes you a chopped unk.
I've never heard that term before, but now I need to know
It's
it.
in my algorithm, so I'm like
Chopped unk.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to work that in and just do it's like a dad joke, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, you are the worst, Dad. Just roll your eyes at me. So.
It happens. I'm going to tell you that I had a really exciting experience this week. I took my two nephews, who are 9, to see their first Star Wars movie.
Ooh.
It's a rite of passage for me as an uncle. Yeah.
That's super fun to
Yeah.
take somebody who has not
Never seen it before.
That's pretty cool.
They only know it from the Lego version.
Oh yeah.
Because
All
Lego
right.
puts out stuff. So I'm like,
Did
no.
you go? Was there something in the theater like for May 4th?
Bay
or
Harbor
whatever?
played in the whatever that place is
Sweet,
called.
man.
Great Lakes.
Yeah.
place. They played the first Star Wars movie there. And
That's pretty awesome.
I was like, this is pretty cool. So we got there. And I said, you can't watch this movie unless you look like you like Star Wars. And they're like, we don't even know anything about it except for Legos and stuff.
You guys
I'm like,
dressed up.
no, I was going to, but Amy's like, don't scare the kids.
Was this pre or post mustache?
This is post. Yeah, post. And so I'm like, here's a shirt. Here's
my
some
daughter would
lightsabers.
say molestache
Yeah,
or
no,
petastache
I know.
in that situation.
I wasn't gonna say it. Yeah.
But
I was.
I've been hearing that.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody came up to me in church on Sunday and they're like, "Oh, nice mustache. Pedophile much?" I'm like, "What?"
Yikes, man.
Whoa, at church?
Jeez.
Yeah, at church.
That is.
That was a Christian greeting
That's
I
a
got.
little
Yeah.
hinge there.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
like,
how was
yeah.
the movie? The movie was good. Which one? Original first?
See, this is the thing. It was kind of misrepresented online. They said it was going to be the original, which is all of us purists know what the original looked like. It was the one with the CGI changes that happened in the 90s.
Oh.
So I'm looking at the boys and I'm like, this is not the original, but this is close. Yeah.
Whoever chose which version is a chopped unk.
Chop dunk, yeah. So they put it in there.
No, they're probably not a chopped unk. They don't know what's up.
That's right.
But they had a trivia. We had trivia before the movie started, and I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, okay, this is my thing. We had to change our papers out to other people. I think people could not read my handwriting, so we came in third place.
Alex.
Yeah.
Your Star Wars card
Yeah.
is taken away.
It was
That's-
taken away.
Come on,
Somebody out
third?
Star Wars you.
Someone else
Right.
Star Wars me.
That's not
But I felt good
acceptable.
because I was in a room full of some serious geeks. I mean, there's
Really?
guys that knew like timelines, dates, all this stuff. Like, okay, one of the questions was, do you know what TIE fighter stands for? The word TIE.
No.
Tatooine fighter.
No.
Did you know it?
I did not. It stands for Tactical Ion Engine.
Tactical ion engine.
I did not know that.
That's sick. Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But there's guys out there that they're like, oh yeah, come on, I know what this means.
Hey, the kids
I have five of
playing with us.
I have
Just give us a
five of
hard
those.
one.
Yeah,
right.
seriously.
Give us a
This
hard
is
question.
Pastor Gary and the Masters right now. Get out of here with this.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school, the kids I like wanted to hang out with, but they were way too cool for me. I was like having to play basketball. These guys were reading. They had books that had the Star Wars ships in them.
Yeah.
And that would give like the rundown of them and stuff. And I was like, you guys are having the most fun.
You guys
On
said
recess.
you
They're
said-
like in the swings. All right, I'm driving the blah 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 blah. I'm like, this sounds amazing, but
You said those kids were too cool for you?
Absolutely too cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a Haynes manual in my office. That's
I don't know what that
millennial
means.
phone. It's like you used to get these manuals for your car.
It was a big, thick book that you could fix anything in your car with.
Yeah.
Okay.
It broke down the entire car, so you know every nut and bolt. Well, somebody did that with the Millennium Falcon.
okay.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
I have that in my office.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, my
some
goodness.
serious.
But
nerd
apparently-
stuff.
You
Fun.
could probably just make it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently,
You know
it
what?
didn't help
That's
me
fun.
though. It didn't help me because apparently I didn't know what a TIE fighter stood for.
Yeah, jeez.
Alex was
Yeah.
in a new level of nerddom.
I did. I felt really like I was outmanned by quite a few of those guys, and these guys were like what, maybe in their early 20s.
Oh, really? They're young
really-
guys.
Yeah, they were serious about it. Yeah, I was just like,
That's cool.
great, great.
Well,
So I let my
know-
nephews down.
Unk over there.
I let my nephews down the whole time. Yeah,
Their level of respect was
Yeah.
I know.
that's right. Did they like the movie?
They loved it.
All right, so they're ready to go. Now they're in.
Yeah, they're in now.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, my job's done.
Yep.
I wrote Amy. I texted her because she didn't come with me. It was just me and my brother-in-law and the two boys. And
Yep.
And I said I've done my job.
Every
Start the next generation.
Every next Norton family get together or Thanksgiving and whatever, we're watching Star Wars.
That's what we do.
That's awesome.
We did it on
man.
Thanksgiving every year.
Yeah.
TBS would have the whole Star Wars.
Sure.
And that's what we
You
did.
got a little extra time together. That's going to be.
We didn't
great,
watch
man.
football. We watched Star Wars. That's what
Okay.
we did. Yeah. All right. Well, do you wonder why you take the time each week to listen to more podcasts? That's a big question. I'll tell you why. More stands for maximizing my opportunities for right now and eternity. So stop asking why you listen. Just never forget to listen and pass it on. And I got to tell you, man, our stats for this program are jumping like crazy.
Good.
So people are listening.
Cool,
to it.
man.
So
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
so you know.
we should change it from more to more fighters, right?
That's
We'd be
right.
like the TIE fighters,
Yeah,
right?
TIE fighter. More
Four,
fighters.
listen to four chopped unks talk about
More chopped on
Star Wars.
I've got to look up that definition.
I got to stop. All right, I'm
I gotta
done
look
with
up the
chopped unk.
definition.
All right, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a new word, new phrase for you.
Yeah.
Well, this episode is sponsored by the Star Wars Geeks of Harbor Light Community Chapel, where at least three guys have argued over whether Pastor Gary is more like Yoda or Obi-Wan. Someone definitely owns a lightsaber for sermon illustrations, and there's a 90% chance the Wi-Fi password has something to do with the Force. Harbor Light Community Chapel, helping people find Jesus and occasionally debating the theological implications of Darth Vader's redemption arc. I mean, come on.
Okay.
That could be
Yep.
biblical. Yeah.
I'm stuck on the Yoda or Obi-Wan for Pastor
Yeah, that's-
Gary.
Yeah,
Good
like
question.
what? Okay,
That's a
good
good
question.
question.
So what would we say? I mean, I
I think Pastor Gary is more like Yoda. And the reason I would say that is because he is a good teacher, but then passes the ball and says, now you got to do it. Is that a good Yoda thing?
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It's a good Yoda thing. But here's the thing.
We're with Luke. We're getting the X-wing out of the mud, right? What's
Yeah.
that movie? I don't know.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And then he says, "All right, now you do it." And then Luke fails, and then Yoda steps in and goes, "All right, I'm going to help you."
And here's the thing about
That's
Yoda.
a good Pastor Gary. thing.
Totally. Because Yoda doesn't have to tell you that he can ball.
Yeah.
Right.
He just
Yoda
kinda
gets-
hangs, you know.
Yoda can just ball, right? Right. So I don't remember which movie it is. When you finally see Yoda like fight, it's like I think it's
Yeah, it's
CGI,
like the
right?
newer one.
Yeah, it's
the
the newer
newer
one,
one where
yeah.
it's like,
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
okay,
can do
Yoda.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you're like that.
He just like went after him, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Yoda bald.
Yep. He is.
Yoda's
He's got
bald.
a couple whispers.
Couple little
Yep.
little hairs
Yep.
hanging on there. But yeah, he's bald. I mean, so there's a lot of comparisons that work there.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fun.
Yeah. And I will say that I don't remember what year this was, but Pastor Gary actually quoted Yoda from the pulpit once.
Yeah.
it was
he
the try.
It was
Or,
a Yoda-ism.
it's got to be the classic one, right?
There is no try but do. or
Something like
Yeah.
that. I could hear Pastor Gary saying
Yeah.
that.
And I even think the sermon was called "Your Dantooine Moment" or something like that. I'm not sure.
No,
But it was
okay.
close. Yeah. All right, we're gonna come back with our reminder of who's around the table, and we have everybody here. Yeah, you're gonna notice that this is kind of a Star Wars themed.
Yeah, May 4th, right.
We had May 4th this week, and May 5th, Day of the Sith. So we got two major holidays on my calendar. Because if you noticed yesterday, I wore my Darth Vader shirt when I came to work yesterday. So, but we'll be right back.
You're listening to more podcast, overcaffeinated, Holy Spirit fueled, and somehow four hybrid preachers, Gary, Hunter, Ted, and Alex, fresh out of Area 51. We'll be right back.
This is actually Area 51 because nobody can find us up here. We're like hidden.
I know.
And our room is green.
Hidden away. Every once in a while, people make their way up here and
they don't know.
they don't know what's going on.
It's kind of like the back room conspiracy there. You come back here and you're like,
That's true.
What is going on back here?
Right.
Well, now the only worship pastor at Harbor Light who looks like he secretly has a lightsaber hanging next to his guitar collection, Pastor Ted.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the only guy at Harbor Light Community Chapel who looks like he could both rebuke a demon and pilot the Millennium Falcon at the same time, Pastor Gary. Now, if we had to have somebody pilot the Millennium Falcon, I'm picking the Jesus.
Yeah, he could do it.
Of the four of us, that's it.
Right. I like that. The question would be, who would be the Wookiee?
That is the question.
I'd be the Wookiee.
You're the tallest. Yeah,
It's me or Alex, for sure.
No, I'm not. I'll be like C-3PO.
All right, the man across the table from me, the man who knows what every button and knob does, the man with all of the talent, the man who, when he drives his car off the lot, the price increases in value.
Yes,
The man who once was bitten by a rattlesnake, and after 5 days of excruciating pain, the snake finally died. And lastly, his feet don't get blisters, but his shoes do.
Yes. Oh, man. Thank you. And now, Harbor Light's associate pastor and the only guy who looks like he'd volunteer to fly the X-Wing straight into the Death Star exhaust port just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Pastor Hunter.
Yes. Just so we can answer the question of what's next. Go watch our sermon series if you missed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice tie in there. I like that. Yeah.
That's it.
It's a great series.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. Today, I thought it'd be good that we can go over some Star Wars fun facts.
Okay.
Some
More
things
Star
you may
Wars.
not. Yeah, well, this
We got to do it, man.
I wish I could have made them so we could have stumped you.
This is just make Pastor Alex happy day. I'm about it. I'm about
I
it.
get
man.
one
on the back
one
on the
day
podcast.
a week.
That's right.
Or one day a year. Yeah, one day a year I can
Yeah.
do this. Yeah.
Let's do
All
it.
right,
I'm ready for these.
But
facts.
unfortunately,
I think-
it passed. So
Well,
That's right. We are late on it.
we're
but,
late,
you know,
but we can come back to it.
That's right. Yeah, we'll give you a
It's more
pass.
the spirit of the
It's
celebration.
my birthday week.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
fair,
thing.
fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the More podcast, the podcast no one brings up, but somehow everyone's already heard. The one your friends won't recommend, but keep accidentally quoting. A little truth, a little chaos, and just enough real to keep you coming back. The More podcast, if you know.
That was recorded at the BBC, just in case you guys didn't know, but a BBC podcast. Okay, so Star Wars fun facts that I kind of knew but did not know. I mean, I knew some of these, but some of these were interesting. The first one that I found was that while filming Star Wars, the actor inside R2-D2 got stuck in the droid so often that the crew members basically had to rescue him like a trapped toddler in a washing machine every time. Did you guys know that?
I feel like I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
This was a small person.
Yeah, it's a
They
small
employed,
person.
yeah.
And the thing is, I was reading about this. They left him in there like through lunch breaks and all kinds of stuff.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
well, you take so long to get him out.
Yeah. Poor guy. So, I mean, I wonder what he got paid for that. That's what I would.
Better,
yeah.
good money.
Yeah.
That's what we
Classic
do with
small person.
Our drummers.
Who are we
going to
put in the
Put in the
robot?
cage and don't come
Throw
out.
them in the cage and throw beef jerky at them once in a while.
Shut up. Get in there. Play the drums. Speaking of drummers, the Muppet Show's coming back out.
I didn't know that.
That is a crazy segue.
Yeah, I just threw that out there.
Yeah.
You're like fired up about that?
I am actually. I like the Muppets,
Muppets
a lot.
are fun. Yeah, okay.
But the drummer from
Sure.
Animal, he's going to be back.
Nice.
They're bringing back all the original characters, just so you know. A little side note. Okay, here's another one. Harrison Ford was so tired of saying sci-fi dialogue during The Empire Strikes Back that he famously told George Lucas, "You can type this stuff, but you can't say it." So he was getting pulling.
Like on all
he didn't want to talk about
the
it
big
anymore.
sciencey names and
Yeah,
stuff.
like all that stuff. So he kind of changed some of the dialogue through the time, So
I would argue that Harrison Ford has the most fun acting career to have been. Right?
he's done quite a few things.
Right
He gets
up there.
to be in Star Wars. He gets to be Indiana Jones. Like all
Right
the
up
cool
there.
action
Yep.
stuff. Right?
Then,
Well,
then he got his ear pierced and he wasn't good anymore.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
But out of all the actors that were on this series, he's the one that actually had a career that continued on afterwards. Everybody else, Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
Kinda
Was
tanked.
was he famous before Star Wars, or was Star Wars?
he did American Graffiti
Yep.
with George Lucas. That's how he got the gig for Star Wars.
Okay.
But that's what he started.
Okay.
But
and then did Indiana Jones after.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like between the.
Okay.
I think it was between the first one and the second one, Empire Strikes Back and New Hope.
Okay.
He did other stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the
That was
key
a-
is to
man.
Wow, he made some money.
He did. Yeah.
That was a
Good for him.
stretch
But
for him.
yeah, that's the key is to brand yourself as hey, I can do more than just Star Wars.
Right.
Right off the cuff. But
he had he had a individual identity because people know him as Indiana Jones and they also know him as Han Solo. He didn't kind of lose himself like the rest of them did.
Yeah.
The rest of them had a real hard time getting back into the industry. Here's the one. This is what I did not know. The original Chewbacca costume smelled so bad under studio lights that people avoided standing near him between scenes. Imagine saving the galaxy while smelling like a wet carpet. Yeah.
Huh.
I thought that was pretty interesting. There's actually a quote in the first Star Wars movie
I wonder
about
why
him being a wet
it's.
carpet.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. I wonder why it stunk.
Because it was real animal hair or fur.
Oh boy.
And so apparently after sweating in it for, because they were in the desert doing a lot of this,
Sure.
movie stuff. So here's another one. The lightsaber fight sounds from the original trilogy were accidentally created by mixing the hum of an old TV set with interference from a movie projector motor. So technically lightsabers are powered by 1970s electronic problems.
Man, is there a more iconic sound
Right.
than that lightsaber?
I didn't know. I mean, I've seen,
pretty sweet.
things on Disney and they show that stuff.
That's
right?
pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's you see that stuff where they go back and like show you how the giant ships were just like little models and stuff. That's just so fun. Like that somebody like built that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody sat there and recorded those sounds and
And it wasn't CGI.
putzed around with it. Right.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
models and
Pretty
things that they put
sweet.
together. Yeah.
and then some sound nerd brought it to
Yes.
the guys and he's like, listen to this.
Yeah.
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 You're gonna love
And then
this.
this-
I made it
was
with
the
it. You'll
thing.
never guess what I made it with, right?
Right.
They're got to be excited about it.
And then every prepubescent boy was making that sound, running around with sticks in their yards
Yeah.
for the next 25 years.
The best thing is to ask a girl to make a lightsaber noise like that, right?
Yeah.
Because they just didn't grow up. Or ask a girl to make a gun noise. Both
Sure.
of those are hilarious.
Right.
What is it like? Bang bang.
You never know what you're gonna get,
Pow,
man.
pow.
We just spent our whole 10-year-old life. It's
Perfecting that.
it's lightsabers and machine guns. We're
Right.
going to war.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
I think when I was growing up, I had a pretty good machine gun sound.
I bet you.
I bet it,
I think
did.
I could still do mine, but
I'm pretty good at it. And the lightsaber sound, I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Because most of the lightsabers that I had when I was younger were there was no telescoping
yeah.
end on it. It was
Right.
just one big piece. So you had to make the sound.
Yep.
You couldn't just kind of like.
I'm
act it
sure
out.
I'm stepping into territory that you are an expert at.
Oh, here we go.
Third place expert.
I'm a third place expert. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me, Hunter. Appreciate it.
Job done. All right, so there's kind of like the Etsy of Star Wars stuff. Like guys are
Yeah.
making
Oh, yeah.
homemade lightsabers, and they are next level crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a guy at
Like thousands
MIT
of
that made one.
dollars to buy them.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy at MIT that has figured out how to make the plasma end of it. And you can watch it on YouTube, and it looks like a torch. And basically, it's not like a sword, but it goes to a certain level, and he can cut through like steel and everything.
This is when nerds have adult money.
That's right.
Yep.
Right.
And so he's got one.
All right.
Okay, in Return of the Jedi, the Ewok language was partly inspired by a real Tibetan dialect, which means somewhere out there an Ewok scene might accidentally sound like somebody ordering lunch. So if we went to
Wow,
Tibet,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
yeah. So you go over to Tibet, you might hear Ewoks.
I like to think that there's some Tibetan man watching it, and he's like,
What did you just say?
what, excuse me?
All these Ewoks got potty mouths, and I can't watch this movie anymore. It should be rated R.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
The whole time it's like he's all offended by the movie.
Star Wars, very, very popular. Not in Tibet for some reason.
Yeah, right. They're all offended by what's being said.
Hate it. It's
What'd you call me again?
outlawed one country in the whole world.
Yeah, like Princess Leia's over there thinking that guys, the Ewok being nice to her, and he's like, no, he's calling you a bunch of names, man. That's what he's calling you. Yeah. So there you go. There's some fun facts from Star
cool.
Wars that you probably didn't know. Some of them I didn't know. But yeah, this is all part of this Star Wars Week celebration. So, hey, this is where we're at.
Nice.
So, you can take those to your next little party and say, hey, did you know?
Hey, did you know?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. So we're going to come back with Harbor Light Bible Trivia. Pastor Gary, you ready to go? Got one locked and loaded?
Yes.
I would say there is a reference to Star Wars in the scripture.
Let's just go with that one.
All
Yeah.
right. What?
There is a
Alex is doing
Saul. I don't have the reference.
Well, you can't give us the answer.
I won't give you the answer, but Saul went to a place that's mentioned in Star Wars.
Wow.
I know it already.
You know it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know the reference. It's in probably 1 Samuel, I imagine.
So are we asking what the place is? Well, let's
get into it.
Give her bumper.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Very professional over here.
We tried.
Joshua 17:11.
Joshua
More
17:11.
podcast is not recommended for those who prefer safe, predictable conversations. Side effects may include unexpected laughter, mild conviction, quoting episodes in public, and texting your friends. You've got to hear this. Do not listen while operating heavy machinery unless you enjoy laughing for no reason. If exposure lasts longer than one episode, you may experience a desire for more. The More podcast, use at your own risk.
Well, here we are at Harbor Light Bible Trivia. Again, we want you to be a part of this, and you can if you send your answer to this question to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and we put your name on the Wilson Insurance Wheel of Destiny, where we'll spin, and we have some prizes. Pastor Amy won last time. She was super surprised, and
I saw her carrying her mug around.
She loves that thing.
Great.
All the time, so she's really happy that she won. But Pastor Gary, what is the question for this week?
All right, so the question for this week, which Pastor Alex just gave us, in the Old Testament, I'm going to give it to you. There are two actual locations.
Yeah.
Two actual Bible references to a Star Wars location.
Yes.
In the Bible. So it's found in two places, so you'll have the option of either or. So what place in the Bible is mentioned in the Star Wars universe?
That's right. And if you know the Star Wars universe, then you'll know that there's quite a few possibilities, but you can figure it. But if you know the answer to that, you can send it to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and we'll put your name on the Wilson Insurance Wheel of Destiny, where you could possibly win. We have a few things here. We have the Yeti Sippy Cup, we have the Yeti Koozie, we have the Crooked Biscuit gift certificate. So we got a few things here.
People should be snatching that one up.
Yeah, it should be. She's kind of going viral on TikTok right now.
She is? Yeah. Every time she posts something, it goes viral.
It's like one of her videos that, like, last time I looked, I think it was like 600 likes.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
People love the stuff. So, yeah, you can get out there. It's over in
TikTok.
Wolverine, Crooked Biscuit, and get yourself some Cajun-styled cuisine and baked goods.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back with Bible Talk right here on More Podcast.
Headphones on. Check. The perfect podcast on. Check. Not sure why you're listening? Good point. Should you keep listening? Yes. Should you tell others you listen to the More Podcast? Good idea. Life just got better.
Well, welcome back to the Bible Talk segment of the More Podcast. This week we're unpacking Pastor Alex's message from Ephesians chapter 2, a powerful reminder that through Christ, people who were once far from God and far from each other have been brought near. See, we live in a world where people are more connected digitally than ever, yet they are still lonely, divided, and searching for a place where they belong. But Paul paints a different picture of the church. A church where we're not spectators or strangers or not people who are barely hanging around the edges, but he talks about a family and a household and a spiritual community being built together by Christ himself. So today, around the table, we're talking about belonging, community, and why isolation is so dangerous spiritually, and what it looks like for you to stop attending a church and actually become part of the body of Christ. Pastor Alex.
Yes. Yeah, it was a good Sunday. We had a good time. I got to look at Ephesians chapter 2. For me, the reason why I chose that text, I think it's probably one of the most pivotal texts when Paul really digs into this idea of what we gained through Christ and what we have as a community. Of course, you can read the book of Acts and you can read all about community life and how it happened, but Paul seems to kind of help us build the theology around it, to understand why this is so important, why community happens. And I think it was just a good reminder for us, because we've had a good series on what's next, and we've talked a lot about things about serving and about what it is to get with the Lord for a while and spend time with him. And then also Pastor Gary talked about how important Holy Spirit is. But then really we get to this point, what's next, and it's to put it all together. How does this work? How does that all function? Because, like I said in the message, we can do those things individually apart from community, but that's not how it's going to work effectively. Yeah. You're basically going to be isolated in a vacuum. So you want to find places where you can get together with the community. And that's my biggest encouragement, if you're listening to the podcast, is don't be one of those people that say, I can do church at home. You need to be a part of community, and that's one of the things that Christ instituted on the cross. It's not only salvation, but community life, being a part of community life. Yeah.
So in Ephesians chapter 2, it says that Jesus didn't just save us individually, but he brings us into a family. And why do you think so many Christians today still try to live a isolated life spiritually?
I think one of the things is, at least one of the first points, is that isolation seems to be something that we want to be a part of, because being vulnerable is so difficult, right? I think scripturally we see that a lot, where people don't really want to show all their cards, especially when it comes to when God sees the heart and sees what's going on, and it becomes something where we try to put this facade on, put this protection around us, and so I think that's one of the things. I think. Also, I think our culture definitely, more so than anybody else, teaches us a lot of independence in our community life. We're raised that way, right? Yeah. We're raised to be individuals and independent and not to rely on anybody. And I think the church is kind of countercultural with that, because we call that,
If you've ever had a chance to fly over Europe, it's really different from what you see over the United States. You drive over the United States, every square 40 acres, there's a house, right? Because that's how we settled the West. Everybody went out there and got their 40 acres. So we're spread out everywhere. You fly over any place in Europe, and it's all clustered in communities.
Yeah.
People don't live outside of that because for safety and those kind of things. So our very foundation, like you said, part of our DNA was to spread out and to conquer. I think also, to come alongside what Pastor Alex just said, relationships take work.
Yeah, they do.
And so it's just easier just to do it on your own, right? And so I think we fall into that trap. I'm going to say some things, and hopefully Lisa Kay doesn't listen in this week, but she was gone for 3 weeks. And it was easy for me to spend the last 21 days by myself working in complete silence, because I like it quiet. And I didn't have to worry about sweeping up after myself. The beams were down the hallway. I'd stepped over to the beams to get into the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right. None of that. I didn't have to worry about anything other than what I was doing.
She's going to
I think that spiritually, we can fall into those same kind of traps, because relationships take work.
Yeah.
And that just costs you $20.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go.
So I'm going another direction. So I want to hear what you say.
I remember I had a Bible professor say just what you said, kind of around the European thing, that idea, Peach, of we were raised with a bunch of fathers who idolized John Wayne, right? And what happens in the Western movies at the very end of the movie? He rides off into the sunset by himself. And that's what being a man, kind of that's he's the idolized man, right? For a lot of Western guys, he's self-sufficient, takes care of himself. And it is very interesting when we hold that up against the light of Scripture, where we see God is always about his family, like just over and over and over again. Yeah. The invitation to Jesus is an invitation to being part of the family of God.
100%. Yeah, God ends the Old Testament talking about family, and he starts the New Testament talking about family.
Pretty awesome.
Right? God cares about family. Yeah, I think men, especially men, want to be lone wolves. No, lone wolves die.
Yeah,
they'll live for a wolf will be in a pack. They'll go off on their own. They'll live for a year, and then they will die.
Yeah,
because eventually they'll get sick or they'll get hurt, and then the pack won't be able to help them. And they're usually meaner because they have to be meaner, because they know that if I get attacked, I can't actually fend anybody off. So I got to look tough. Yeah. Right. And I think that's a good picture of how we can be as men, as Christians today, of like, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
And we think it's easier or better. And maybe it is for a little while, right? It's probably nice not to have to share the kill. It's great when you're getting the kills, but what happens when life takes a little bit of a shift and, you tweak the knee and now, the wolf can't do what it used to be able to do, right?
Right.
And so we need community. But I think that ties into our second question. You talked about how people can attend church for years and still never truly belong. What are some of the signs that someone's sitting on the edge of community instead of stepping fully into it?
I think one of the telltale signs that we see a lot of times is people that avoid any sort of deeper relationship with community, right? They're the people that don't mind showing up on Sunday, shaking hands, going to sit in their seat. But then, like we talk about being a part of small groups or being a part of some sort of community activity, they're the people that tend to always have something else going on, right? Always another excuse of why they can't be a part of it. And it seems to be sort of like the narrative of their life on everything. It's like they don't really want to get that vulnerable and close to people. So they tend to find excuses to separate.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I think people, one of the things I was talking with my wife about after the message, I said, one of the biggest problems we have in church is trust. We don't trust each other.
Yep.
I mean, we say we do, and we preach sermons about trust, and we talk about trust quite a bit. Trusting Jesus, trusting, what he's done for us. But when it comes to our relationships within community, we don't really trust each other. We don't want to share our failures. We want to share anything that would make it possible for somebody to have some sort of leverage or to have some sort of input into our lives. Yeah. So we create sort of the church persona as we come in.
That's exactly what it is.
And we try to, protect that as much as we can. And, the truth is, I think it was interesting when we did the marriage series, and all of us were pretty vulnerable up there. I think all of us that spoke were pretty open about what was going on. And people were coming up to, at least to me, probably you guys as well, but they were just shocked that we as pastors were willing to share that much of our behind the closed doors conversations and things that have been going on. And I'm like, why not? I mean, how do you learn unless you hear what's really happening? Not what we want you to think is going on, but what's really going on in our lives. And I think that was something very interesting, but it raised some conversations where people are like, is that what it's about? I mean, do we need to do that in order to really understand what's going on and how to connect with other people? I'm like, yeah, in your small groups, you should be open and having these conversations with each other. Yeah. I mean, but it comes down to this idea of trust. Yeah.
And it, like, everything will cost you something. So if you're going to be in a good relationship with somebody, it's going to cost you being vulnerable and being honest with them, right? So make sure it's with the right person, right? So we're not going to be vulnerable with people. We're going to be vulnerable with people who want to see us win, right? But there's some people out there who would love to see you lose. Yeah. So you gotta know when it's the right person. But when you find the right person, what you'll actually find is you'll find power in your vulnerability. Because now you don't have to fake it with this person anymore. Right. And now you've earned a person that you get to be real with and honest with. And there's nothing more relieving than having a person that, like, you know them and they know you deeply and intimately. And because of that, like, you don't have to put on the show. You don't have to put on the front, right? That's what we do when we come to church, right? And probably even myself sometimes, right? I'm probably putting on the best image of Pastor Hunter that I possibly can be. But people in my small group know that, sometimes I get a little annoyed, right? Or sometimes, like, my kids rub me the wrong way and I got to be a little bit more short with them. Or, just recently I was driving some of my students from a good number of years ago who graduated, and we were all traveling together. And Hannah was giving me directions, and she kind of gave me the wrong directions. And I kind of got, like, a little annoyed, right? I was like, hey, you got to give me the directions when I want the directions, right? And that's more on me than her. But they know me, and then they know things about me, and I can be me, right? Yeah. I think, but we will kind of pretend like, we're perfectly perfect all the time. And then because of that, we never actually know them and they never actually know us.
Yeah. I think the tag along side of that, the having good examples of vulnerability is really rare in church. Yeah. So, like, having the ability to know, like, I think there are probably people who are scared to be vulnerable because they've seen an example of vulnerability, which is, I just say everything to everybody. Yeah. And we know those church people, right? That's not what we're talking about, or healthy, right? You need trusted people, like you just said. And so for the guy who's like, man, I'm not joining a small group because I don't want to have to bear every sin and all that stuff. What Scripture invites us to is to people who know us. right? And it's not this sense of we're not going to ask you to do what Pastor Alex and the rest of our pastor staff did of get up on the stage and talk about your marriage, right? That's the unique role that you play as pastors here at the church. But having a couple people who know how to pray for you, who know who you are, that's what we're talking about. And I think fight against the bad examples of vulnerability you've had in your life.
Yeah.
And maybe a little challenge for the person who is in the small group who does do the vulnerability overload. It may need to rein it back a little bit.
Sure.
The gift of self-awareness,
Yeah.
allowing people a chance to talk, allowing a chance for, the whole thing is just not your kind of therapy session too.
Yeah.
I think you just said something that maybe I've never put into quantified words there. When you vomit all of your stuff, it gets on me. Now I've got to process some of that stuff that you just exploded, right? And you got to give me time to handle it. And I'll tell you, as a pastor who sits across the couch from people on a weekly basis, it can be difficult for the next few days to help carry some of this burden that has just been upchucked all over. And, and it can, you have to give it over to the Lord, of course, and everybody knows the right things to say on this, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing to get thrown up on and to deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say, let's say 2 months ago, someone had an episode, and I'm still carrying the weight of that thing.
Yeah.
Because I love them so much, and I'm hurting for them.
Yeah.
And so realize that don't be so self-focused that you just unbearing your soul makes you feel good, but then you just drug
you
the
just
entire
buried somebody else. Right.
That's something I haven't really thought about.
Yeah. And I think there's a right time and place for everything.
Yes.
Right. So, while the kids are running around and they're right next to you, probably not the right time. Right. And choose a time where you guys can unpack this together and, have a good long conversation.
I agree with what you're saying there, Pastor Gary, because it's so true, right? That's one of our jobs as shepherds, obviously, to be those places of confession and whatever else. And it is tough, though, because you're like a sponge. You suck it all in, and you try to be the person that is helping them find clarity and whatever else. But you do. My wife and I, we've had some situations just in the last week dealing with some relationships. And some of the stuff you hear and some of the stuff that you're walking people through, you're like, it feels like you just took every rock out of their backpack and put it in yours. And now you're going to walk the rest of the miles with them so that they have a lighter load so that they can get through whatever they're going through. But you're carrying it, and it takes a long time before, sometimes God can help you process and get those things off your back too, because you're feeling it in so many ways, and it is so hard. But, God's faithful. But, that's the calling we've been brought into. That's us. That's what we're called to do. But it is an interesting thing. The other thing too is interesting. I think what we do here differently that a lot of other churches may not, and I know for a fact a lot of churches don't, is that people come to community life for information, not relationship.
Harbor Light?
No, here at Harbor Light we do it right. I think we come here and we talk about relationship all the time.
Okay,
and it's not just about information. People come to church, they want to hear the pastor give me the word. They want, and that's all it is. It's just about information. And so we're talking about people that are on the edge. People live their spiritual lives like that from day to day for the entire spiritual journey, just coming just for the information, and there's no relationship whatsoever. So then, my question is, then what do you do with this? At some point you have to have these conversations about this stuff. And, I know Pastor Gary, when he does his outlines and stuff and he puts the thing in there's questions for small groups in there, which is helpful because, what do I do with what was just said? I want to talk about it with people that I trust and I want to have these conversations with. I think that is such an important thing. And, if you're one of those people that listen to the podcast and you do that, you just go to the church for the information, you're only getting part of it. You're only getting just a little bit of what God really intends for your heart to understand. It happens when you have those conversations. And I think it was it last Sunday or the Sunday before where you talked about the road to Emmaus. I think the important part of that conversation was they were having the conversation about what was just happening. So they were processing everything that was happening. And then their eyes were open, but it was because they had this conversation, with what they were experiencing. I think, if it would have been any other way, it would have been just like every other person going to church. It'd just been a bunch of information we just processed, and here we are. But they were able to look through it. And, if you're on the edge, it's because that's how you're treating it. You're treating it just as information, but you're not really digging into what's happening. How does it affect me? Why is this so important for me to hear what I just heard?
So move from information to transformation is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it comes in these relationships.
Yeah. So what's stopping people from going from outside to inside, right? What are some of the barricades maybe? I think there's loads of them, but I'm just curious on what you guys think. What are some of the main
I
contributors?
think there's a bunch of scary stuff in there. And if I don't address it, I can just keep it buried in there.
Sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Why do you want, that's the thing is like we just talked about, we've grown up in a society where we have these ideas of independence and whatever else. To be vulnerable, it takes away our independence. At least that's the way we think. It takes away our ability to have an image that we want people to buy into, but it's really not the situation. I think a while back you did, Pastor Hunter, the sermon about the fake plants and the real plants.
Yep.
And you said about fake it till you make it. I think a lot of people in church are in that ballpark of fake until they make it, because they can look like everybody else, but they still have never really gone the extra mile to become the plant, the real plant.
Yeah.
They just stay looking good, and nothing's really changing. And then we get these weird conversations about, I'm not getting victory. I'm not finding God in this situation, or I'm going through dry spells. One of the things that we talked about in my Sunday school class was about the myth of going through dry moments. And I said, I wish Christians would have never learned that phrase, because dry moments only mean that you have stopped drinking the water. Because Jesus says, I give you life, I give you water. I give you life, I'll give you water that you never will ever thirst again. So what's the issue? It's not the issue that it doesn't exist. The issue is you're not putting the cup to your mouth. You're not accessing what God's given you. And so dry moments usually are because a lot of times we're not going to the well.
Right.
We're not getting the water. And so when you have people that are feeling these moments or having these moments, my question always is what are you doing? What are you really doing? Are you reading the word? Are you praying? Are you doing, and a lot of times, it comes down to the fact, well, I've just kind of not gotten to the word like I used to, or I'm not coming to church as I used to. I'm not part of small groups like I usually do. I'm not praying as much. They're not drinking from the cup.
And I like that you brought up, real and fake plants, right? Because I think that it's people are in situations like, I just don't want people to look closely at me.
Right.
Because if they look closely, then they're going to see. But here's the problem. Like if you don't have, the word of God, the seed in the ground, one of the ways seeds gets in the ground is that ground gets close to a real plant that has fruit. And fruit brings seeds. That's the sole reason that plants have fruit, is so that those seeds can go somewhere else and make a new apple tree. Right? So we got to get around other Christians. It'll actually help us grow.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a cost cycle. So somebody on the outside, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to let people are going to know that I'm not perfect, and that's okay. But you can stay right there too, and then, well, nobody's taking. I'm okay with it now. Nobody's taking me out to lunch. Right? So nobody wants to talk to me. And then listen to the spiral though. And it's probably because I got all these problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so why would I even try? And then they walk away. So there's a cost cycle. So now I'm going to be vulnerable. That costs you something. And now I'm going to take this person out to lunch. I like this person. I've talked to them a couple times. I'm going to say, hey, next week, can we go out to lunch? Right? So community's usually not going to be built for you. Sometimes you're going to you have to work and build it yourself, or at least try, right? All those things, but it begins to have a cost spiral. It will cost you something.
So we as a church, I was reflecting on this yesterday. We as a church went through the series, don't take the bait of Satan, and how to live without being offended, or how to deal with offense when it comes. There were some people at Harbor Light who started the book, and they refused to finish the book because they recognized how often they got offended. And they didn't want to deal with it. Or they wouldn't read the book far enough to see the answers to dealing with it.
Right.
Right. So sometimes
tell me the book offended them before they got
100%. And they, and so as I said, there's some scary stuff in there, but they don't know how to deal with it. And so they don't bring it up because I don't know what to do with this stuff. Or I don't have anybody to walk with me through it.
Yeah.
So I think those are all real things.
And here's what it is really. People don't want to be discipled.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
They don't want to be
accountability
discipled.
and confrontation and
Yeah. People don't really want that. They want Jesus, but they got to remember that we're called to be disciples of him. Right.
Back to the dry stuff. If I'm not falling down into a pool of water, I'm in a dry spell. No, sometimes you have to go look for the water.
Right, yeah.
It's there.
It's there.
But it's going to take some work.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, and in a dry spell, what do plants do? Their roots grow deeper.
Exactly.
Right?
To find it.
Because it's there, right? It just got to,
Yep.
yep.
One of the things that's interesting too is that I've noticed this too is that we want to say the modern day term is cliquish in church.
Yeah.
People want to use that excuse a lot. Like there's too many cliques. We don't have anybody we can really connect with. I like to use the word tribal, right? Become more tribal in our communities. We hang out with people that we feel more commonalities with.
Yeah.
To me, again, that's another excuse of the devil. I think that people, a lot of times when they want to use that excuse as being on the edges because things are so tribal within a community, you've never taken a step forward to find out, how people really perceive you or what they're like or whatever. And so we use that as wall and distinction to draw a line so that we don't have to really interact with anything. And, I play around all the time. You guys know me. I'm very self-deprecating about my life a lot. But, being an introvert, that's not something I relish, is walking into a room and trying to figure out everybody who they are and talk to them a lot of times. I need to be nudged. But, in the situations when it comes to community life, that excuse the devil loves to use because you never then create those interactions, period. You never find out who you're sitting next to.
Yeah.
It's interesting, on Sundays, how many of us will sit next to people in the church that we've never really had a conversation with. Even when we do the welcome time, we will hightail it across the chapel to the people that we know instead of the person sitting right next to us, because it's just too much of a scary thing to have that moment. Or we have the perception, well, they don't really want to know who I am, or I don't know if they would really be into me, or whatever it may be. I think what's really cool here, and again, another pat on the back for Harbor Light, we do a really good job breaking down those barriers.
Oh, yeah.
Really well. Because, we tend to push people into interacting, and breaking down tribal barriers, And like I've said before, you come to this church, you would not know that we have people here that are millionaires and people that are living on food stamps, and they're sitting next to each other, and they, you can't tell them apart because they're not, you don't have some special section for people that give more money a month than the people that don't. And we've done that well. And I think that to us is credit to us as a community is that we've worked really hard. Pastor Gary has done it for years to break down those barriers, to make sure that people realize that this is not a tribal situation. Right. We are one tribe under Christ, Yeah. So I think it's good.
I would love to flip the conversation a little bit, because right now we're talking a lot about people on the outside. But this is also a burden for the people on the inside. Right? This is a both and, because Ephesians verse 13. But now in Christ Jesus, you were far off, have been brought near by the blood of Christ. Okay, so I think there's also a challenge for us as people who are, we're pretty inundated into Harbor Light community life, to know that, man, those people on the outside, we got to remember, we were once far off too. And we once had some issues too, and we were working through it, right? So we also got to know that, hey, when we're going to, have new people come into our community and step in from the outside, they're still probably going to be walking through some things. They're probably going to be dealing with some stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so we got to understand that there was a moment when we were far off too.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're going to talk to them with grace and truth, right? Very important.
So I know three of us around the table here have some similar story when it comes to school. I think you stuck it out at the same school the whole time, didn't you?
Me? Yeah.
So Alex set the table super well when he said, I'm walking into the lunchroom for the first time, and I've got my Star Wars box. Where am I going to sit?
Yeah.
Who's going to open the door? I connected with that really well. I went to 9 different schools before I hit high school, and I experienced that almost every year of my life. And that happens every Sunday at Harbor Light.
Yeah.
That first time person shows up, and where do I get to sit? And I have tried my best to encourage people to not let anyone ever sit by themselves. Even if they don't want you to sit with them, go sit with them anyways, right? Because deep down inside, they want you to sit next to them, and to be completely purposeful in where you sit. Everything at Harbor Light, every Sunday, every service, Lord, we should be intentional. And there's so many things to bring to mind, right?
That's my story. I know I've shared it before, but at Harbor Light was I was newly divorced, broken person who I was like, I know I should go to church, so I'm gonna. And I didn't know people at Harbor Light, and Danielle Yerman made me sit with her and her husband, right? And there was this sense of like, lady, I'm just, I do your kids' orthodontics. And I'm like, okay, can I just be, nope, you're going to sit next to my husband and I and my kids, And so I do think no church is ever going to do it perfectly, but I do think that the spirit around Harbor Light has been one of understanding. People walk through those doors with their stuff, man. And that's just part of the deal. And so as people who, I tend to be a little more like Alex in the introverted side of things too. So I have to work very, very hard at going, dude, you got to know that you just don't know who's walking in this building, or you don't know who the story that, they're living behind. So don't assume they don't want to talk to you. Because at times that's where I can kind of go. And so I know I'm not the only person that's like that. So I just encourage you, if you're listening today, take one step of vulnerability and just introducing yourself to somebody you don't know. And it doesn't have to be let's hold hands and now, have dinner every other weekend or anything like that. But just start someplace, and starting small, I think is an ability to honor God and kind of see where it takes you in that.
I remember maybe third or fourth time you were here, sitting under the basket on the south end of the room. And I went back and sat next to you, introduced myself, and you were kind of a teary guy.
Yeah, and still am.
Still is. What are you talking about?
Buddy, I love you
right now.
We're going to get you through this. I didn't even know you.
Right.
I didn't even know your story.
Absolutely.
But whatever's going on, we're here with you.
And again, and now being on the other side of the door, so to speak, with Harbor Light, like I do see that. Like you just see, one of the things I'm so proud about, if someone was to ask me about Harbor Light and why I love it, is it's not a country club. This ain't a country club for Christians, right? There's a bunch of people in here who've been through life. And so, but that's every church. But I think there's the ability to talk about it, the ability to kind of share that and have it a little more on your sleeve than just hidden is something that you got to work hard for. And it doesn't happen overnight. And so that's a credit to your dad. That's a credit to you of just creating that atmosphere here. Yeah.
Well, I think you mentioned it. I think Pastor Hunter, when we first started this part of the conversation, verse 11 in chapter 2 says, Paul starts it out, says, therefore remember.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. And I think to me, that's powerful words that start the conversation. And when we get into this mode of connecting with people, Paul's like, remember where you came from.
Yeah.
Remember where you were. And I think after we've been in the faith for long enough, we kind of forget maybe those moments or forget that stuff, but we can't. We got to remember what Christ has saved us from, what Christ has brought us from. And we were in the same ballpark as everybody else. And I think that to me, that's an important reminder on a daily basis, especially when people are walking through the door, like we just mentioned, and reminding ourselves we were that person walking in with the Star Wars lunch pail at one point, and somebody said, like what Ted said, brought come over here and sit with us. So good stuff.
Yeah, it's really special. We got to remember who we were and where God has taken us, so that we can remember where God can take that person who, maybe we're not thinking in that direction. That, man, God has a plan and a purpose and a destiny for this person, and maybe God's calling you to be a part of that.
Yeah.
One of the pieces of scripture that I've been thinking about in this conversation has been Exodus 17. It's where Moses he's up on a mountain, and everybody else they're in battle. And every time, when his hands are up, they continue to win the battle. Every time those hands come down, they start losing. And then two of his guys come and one lifts up one arm and the other one lifts up the other arm. And then they end up winning the battle. And, relationship and community will cost us something, but I would submit that it's the cost is worth it, right? It's worth paying whatever the cost is, because they would have lost that battle without those two friends lifting up Moses' arms. And, I think we need those friends who are lifting up our arms when we can't keep them up anymore.
Yeah,
right. And I think there are a lot of people who've been trying to keep their arms up for their whole life, so that they can keep winning. And they just need some godly Christian friends to come alongside them and say, hey, when your strength fails, I got you. Yeah. Right. Because there should be no lone wolves in the kingdom of God. Right. We need to be doing this together.
So let me ask you guys a question. So how do we practically help people understand where to belong, how to belong? What is the next step?
Well, I think what you said in practical is really important, that in church we can over spiritualize and we can give big long answers and all that stuff too much, that you do need to be practical. So what is a real thing that you can do today that will draw you closer to others that are in the faith? So what phone call do you need to make? What meeting do you need to set up? What dinner plans with your families need to happen?
Yeah.
So I do think getting very, very, very micro on the, hey, how do you be in community? How do you be vulnerable with other people? You need to be around them. So set up a time to be around them.
Yep. Here's an easy one. Show up 20 minutes early to church and stay 20 minutes late.
I like that.
Come on.
Right.
That's pushing it. That's a lot of vulnerability.
Like
Maybe
just
not after.
show up early and hang out and then hang out a little bit afterwards, right? Hang out in the parking lot if you really need to, right? Like right there you go, right? I don't know how you expect you're going to make a new friend at church when you show up when worship's already playing.
Right.
And then you leave while we're still praying at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of course. It's not shocking.
That's good. 20 minutes early, 20 minutes late.
I'm just picturing the guy in the parking lot holding up a cardboard sign that says "Need friends."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We should do that sometime. That'd
Free
be
hug.
great
Have the
illustration.
buddy bench, right?
Yeah.
I don't really hate
I
the
think
idea.
one of the things my dad was an expert at was just finding some common ground.
There it is.
He could sit down and in 30 seconds, he's going to find something you both have in common. He's just going to build on that.
Yeah.
It might not go too much further than that.
Yeah.
My dad was a really wide relational person. He had relationships with a lot of people and that were super deep, right? But he connected, he found the common ground and then let it go from there. And if it needs to go further, great. If it doesn't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to get it started.
Yeah.
Right. I think 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after is a great thing.
Yeah, give yourself some time to make that common ground, right?
How about 5 minutes? About 5 minutes before. 5 minutes. I see 20 minutes. That's an introvert's nightmare right there.
Yeah, well,
one of the things
that I would say, buck up, buttercup.
make it work. Yeah.
I say this to the introvert that, but sincerely wants to grow some relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. Do this. This is what my wife and we've done this our whole careers. Be in charge of the interview. I'm going to meet you for the first time. I want to know who you are.
Yeah.
What you do. What was the most exciting thing that happened in your career? What's the craziest thing that happened in your career? I'm going to run the conversation.
That's good.
And I'm going to draw it out of you. Guess what? I don't have to tell you anything about myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless I want to.
Right.
But I've got to ask the questions. And I'll tell you this, people love to talk about themselves. I love talking about myself, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You sit around the table. I did this at the Jubilee the other night. We had an undersheriff and his wife show up. They were at my table. I loved it. He was on display for the whole table. I just asked question after question after question, and he was happy to tell me the stories. They were great, right? And we got up at the end of the night, besides the fact that we raised $354,000.
Yeah.
He gave me a hug. I've just met this person for the first time. He goes, "That was great." And you could tell he was a pretty quiet person.
Yeah.
But I put him at the center of the table.
That's awesome.
People love to be seen.
Yep.
There's a great book by Bill Hybel as we're closing there. It's called Walk Across the Room.
Yep. Great book.
Yeah, it's about evangelism, but in there is a lot of great community building experiences that you can apply to your life as you're trying to connect with other people that are in the church for the first time or people you met for the first time. So it may be a resource you want to look at, but it's I think it's called just the Walk Across the Room or Walk Across the Room. But it's by Bill Hybel. It's a great book. I read it a long time ago. It's helped me out quite a bit, with connecting people. But
for sure,
it's simple questions like what Pastor Gary just said. Just have those conversations, point it at them, make them the highlight, and go from there. But then it opens up more conversations. Later on, people then feel connected, and then they have more conversation with you. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, after my dad's passing, this can be the last thing, but after my dad's passing, people come up to you for the next year or so and they're sorry, that I lost my dad. And they're like, yeah, he was my best friend. I was around my dad a lot. Number one, I never saw you before in my life. So there's no way you're my dad's best friend. And my dad must have had 1,000 best friends. He made them feel like he was their best friend.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
He did it all the time.
Yeah, because if you want to be seen, try seeing someone, right? So if you are like, man, I just wish somebody would see me. Well, see somebody else for yourself and model the behavior that
Is that
you
an
want
Avatar
them to have.
quote?
I have no idea. I just came up with it in my brain.
Oh man.
Right, but it does kind of make sense.
That's an Avatar quote, right?
Yeah.
I see
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Yeah, come on, there you go. All right.
Here's the real man of wisdom. Here's the real Yoda.
right,
He's the real Yoda.
He's like
You guys
Avatar
stop it.
quote and
Stop
Avatar
it.
and everything else. Yeah,
I just
that was
like
good.
I just like
I
words.
just suggest some trust falls and some group hugs.
We should do that at church on Sunday. We're gonna do a trust fall.
Can you just stare into someone's eyes and not break eye
you
contact?
just stare.
For
Just
2
do
minutes.
that.
For 2 minutes.
That'll be great for you.
We
And
learned that in
your
premarital. If you
vulnerability.
look at each other for 2 minutes, you can build affection. You know.
Well, let's not do that with everybody else. It's your spouse.
Just your spouse. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get a room. Yeah.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
You have found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now,